color drawing. This is the order of the presentation today. Queries end of the session so that we can maintain the time better as we go forward. Without further ado, I welcome the first speaker, Mr. Suresh Shukla, a well-known education consultant and also a renowned advisory to the HR, also the education departments of several states. He is a reservoir of knowledge. His expertise and knowledge is something that we can dwell on today. I welcome you.
When I was in school, I was all set to become a neuroscientist. But our teacher, Father Jyothi, taught English literature so well that I gave up that idea and I went into studying literature. I ultimately I studied in Delhi University and I taught in Delhi University. And then I went to work in a tribal area to what kind of education is possible in those circumstances. Later, I went to National Book Trust, where I used to bring out books for children and promote reading. And I was also later the chief consultant and advisor to the government of India to work on improving the quality of education. I want to share two lessons that I have learned from that. When I was in this tribal area, it was quite a remote. I had gone there to teach backward children. But every day I realized there was so much I did not know. And there was so much that these children knew. It was difficult to say that they were backward. I used to go herding cattle with these children, and they, for instance, they showed me, they would say, you know, there's a scorpion inside. Another thing exactly the same, they would say, a scorpion hole, but there is no scorpion inside it now. So I kept asking them, how do you know that the scorpion is inside? And when it is not, as if you know such a grown man, how can he not know that? After a lot of difficulty, I persuaded them. And they said, actually, the scorpion's sting is pointed upwards. When it goes in, it scrapes the top of just a little piece. There's a tiny piece of if it is inside. When it comes out, burst out, and it's not there anymore. I asked them, how many trees do you know that have got thorns? Such trees, not bushes, not shrubs, trees. I went to Delhi University. Students, I asked them the same question. 9 such trees. So why am I telling you all this? Because it brought home to me that knowledge and understanding is not only to be in universities, in books, among people we consider so-called educated. Knowledge is there. Are you ready for it? Are you looking for it? I talked to a truck driver. So you think, what do truck drivers know about anything other than trucks? A truck driver has been to all parts of it. They know exactly what a plateau looks like. They've seen the sea. They've seen. They've been to mountains. They've seen all forests. They know not what kind of food you get where. Their geography is much better than your geography teacher's geography. You know? I talked to the local iron smith, and he shared with me how he separates metals from impurities. I talked to farmers and the difference between weeds and plants and what to do about it. So if there was an elder in my area who knew about herbs, how those herbs can be used to cure diseases. Unfortunately, his two sons went to school and they did not want to learn that knowledge anymore. That knowledge is lost to us. That in operation, we showed me a particular the leaves of which when he rubbed on his hand and he went to pluck honey from all the bees went away from him. When I was in the school where Father Vati taught us, it was right next to the sea. There was a lighthouse there. And it was run by a chap who probably had never been to school. His name was Lansing. But Lansing knew every single thing there is to know about ships, about sails. And he would say, that ship is got this, put a quarantine sign. He used to operate a fantastic thing, device called and this lamp which sent messages. And as now things evolve, if I ask anybody anything, suppose I ask you name pomade leaves that are found in Honduras, you take out a mobile phone quickly and tell me in 2 minutes. So that kind of knowledge is not very useful to have. What is useful to have? What is useful to have is what matters to you. Just ask who to learn it from, how to. Ultimately, facing. After some time, nobody can teach you. Only you can teach yourself. You need to look around what matters to you, what do you want to learn, where do you learn it from, and from who. So knowledge is all around us. Too much of it is around us. We are not looking at it. We need to catch it, engage it, and that's what is required in the times to come. All of you come to but you can realize. So that's. I want to give you another small thing to remember, and for that, I'm requesting you to open your notebook, a piece of paper about this big. It's not a waste of paper, huh? It's very useful. Okay, when you've taken it out, hold it like this, but don't press it, don't hold it, curve like a fish here. Have you got this shape? When you get it like this, go to the center point, go and you hold it like this, and you will find that there is longer part on one side and smaller part on the other side. Once again, you hold it like this, from the center go a little bit above, and hold it like this, roughly 40% on one side and 60% on the other side. Okay, you got it? Hold it like this. Now from this part, tear it like only 1/4. The longer side like this. Can you see? I don't know. Tear it just a little bit and fold that part. Done. Now do the same to the other side. Now you will, if when you do this finger that looks like a spade, once again, you fold it, you pour a little bit on one fourth on one side, you pour it from the other side and you fold it again. Okay? Now the lower part, just fold it back a little bit. And we'll be done in just 20 seconds more. Now the top part, tear it thirds of the way down. From the center, from the middle, tear it like a little flower. Make it spread out a little bit. Now I'm going to do something, and you will have to do the same, but for that you will have to stand up. When I ask you, you stand up, please, not right now. Okay. I'm going to drop this. What do you think is going to happen? Huh? Right, isn't it? Okay, now stand up and do it yourself. Right. Okay, okay. Okay, now you can sit down. So, I'm sure you would study this in class. What's making it turn around? But in some ways, it will not make it turn around. So, it's not just air, there is something more than air. In another shape, it may not turn. Like, see, if I drop it like this, no turn around. Why? Like this, turning around. Why? Yeah. Don't get it. Just speak.
When we hold the paper like this, when we hold the paper, of course, the air pressure is not
Right,
paper, and when we open, the air pressure is applied on this thing, and it.
He's given one answer. Now it will. So now I'm going to drop it again. It is going to drop at a certain speed. It's going slowly, no? But I wanted to go very fast. What should I do now? How can I make it go fast? What should I do? Huh? What should I do? Spin it. Okay, I'm going to try to spin it. Doesn't really help that much. How can I make it go faster? Tell me. Huh?
4.
Make it 4. Okay. Turn fast. That's what I tried. She said turn it. Huh? Should the mass. Fantastic. How should I increase the mass? By adding paper. That's another very interesting idea. Lower part. Hold it more. Up. Okay, try it. Try it out. If it works in your case, then we will see. Okay. I think I can combine these to do something here. How to increase the mass? I can't increase the mass, but I can decrease the resistance. Yes. Will it go faster? Why are you saying yes? Have you tried it? Try it out. Let's see. Okay. Yeah. Let's see if it goes faster. Yes. It is going faster. All right. Now, when I first asked you to make this, at that time, what was happening was that in part in something like saying a bit of curiosity, do it. That's how learning starts. It doesn't stop there. I'll tell you after a little while why I'm telling you all this. Huh? But the next part is very important. When we ask, why is it turning around? It really happens. If you don't ask this question, why something is happening, you're not going to learn much. If you simply somebody else tells you and you don't ask, your punishment is that the so always for any experience, you have to reflect. Ask why. But the next part, what we did was, how can we make it go faster? Suppose I want to now make this go slower, what do I do? What I'm not doing is applying whatever we got from the first part. To apply it in different places. And then when you've done it, you need to think for yourself, what did I do? What did I learn? How did it happen? These are the things I got. Write it down for yourself. That's called consolidation. These are the 4 very important stages of all learning for anyone, for all of you. Anything happens when you go out, when you try things on the field, you're in the forest, you're with friends. Those are all experiences. They are not going to become learning unless you think about them. When I was in class 12, there was a boy who said, "Don't," because for 4 years he had been in class 12. That is not what we mean by experience, okay? Unless you think about it, experience does not become learning. Why? But then, how would it differently in another situation? Apply that learning. And then, as I mentioned, ultimately, your teachers can do only so much for you. They can't do everything for you. Just like eating, no one can eat for you, no. Nobody can learn for you. You have to learn yourself. If you want to learn for yourself, this is what you will have to do for the coming several decades. You have to go into interesting experiences, excite you, which will make things interesting. But then think about them, find out what you got out of it, apply it in different situations, go beyond. Otherwise, you'll be doing the same thing again and again. So that's my best wishes for you. Please do this. Don't make old mistakes, keep making new mistakes. All right, thank you all.
Like that. I think I have a loud voice, so maybe I don't. Thank you, Subir. That's a tough. I can do the same paper exercise if you want, but you'll have to make ships, boats. But no, everyone knows how to do that, so I won't waste, your time on that. As I mentioned, I'm Ashley Cooper. I'm really happy to be here because taking off from what Father Verki had said, where everyone be a doctor, an engineer, was in a different career path, right? I'm a ship's captain, okay? Ex-captain, I would like to say. And now for the last, in a big company, I oversee the activities of 200 ships, which means responsibility for the operations, the quality, the management, and everything. And I'm based in Monte Carlo. Who likes Formula One here? Okay, you might street circuit, Monte Carlo Grand Prix. It's one of the most famous races. And the reason I've reached where I've reached is because of people like Father Verki, young age. Who at a age ingrained in me the thought and your career. But when you're in the classroom, you have to experience the joy of learning. We, as young students, myself, Kalol and Suvir, we always had it in mind that yes, we have learning, being curious, right? That is something which I feel is probably not so much present in a student. There is so much of things being put on you that it's no. Now, if I ask you a question, I'm sure half of you will take your iPhones and look through Google and get the answer. But no, we didn't have that privilege. We spent many, many hours in the classroom and followed it up in the library. And of course, plenty of discussions between ourselves. And this curiosity is, I think, the most important element in a young student's, life. Uh, the future, I believe, will always take care of itself. You have to be hardworking, but you have to have that love for learning and that curiosity. So I say that, but I joined the Merchant Navy at the young age of 18. I did my academical training in Mumbai on the training ship Rajendra, and I sailed for 18 years. I was a third officer first. Oh no, I started as a cadet, a third officer, second officer, chief officer, and finally captain. When you become a captain, it's as Suvir mentioned about the truck drivers. Well, they have great geography of India, but as a sailor, you have to have great geography of the world. Because you visit different places, you yourself also. So I probably visited most of the countries which are there, and I enjoyed it at that time. But at the end of the day, I was also thinking of the future. So I qualified in the United Kingdom. I did a shipbroker's exam, and I stepped ashore. And there also in transition. I mean, you start off. I was still learning. I was the captain of the ship. I had 25 people. So if I needed to get, I don't know, okay. When I reached the office, I realized I have to start doing it myself. Then I even learned that when you have to make a photocopy, you must know how to change paper to put inside. So I'm trying to say this learning process is a very important position. Okay, the career path then ashore took on its phases where I became a marine superintendent, a marine manager, and now I'm the marine director of Scorpio Ship Management. You can Google it up. It's a company based in Monaco, as I said. So it's a lovely place to work. I with my children who are here. They are Italian. You can speak to them if you want and ask students in Italy. And Fabio, he is also a renowned student. He studied in before that in Birmingham. And my daughter, she's a double lawyer, one in Italy, one in the UK. And she studied in Norwich, University of East Anglia. And the younger daughter is studying biological sciences in Italy. So you can expect also some views. And just here for holiday, and we are very grateful to Father Verki and right. My advice: don't ever stop. Don't link it to a career. As Sudhir said, he wanted to do something, he did something else. But think, you want to have a big you want to have a career which takes you traveling the world, you know, take care of itself. That's not a problem. And Subir, you mentioned Lansing. Lansing was one of the main reasons I became a seafarer. And the way it happened was very simple. In the afternoon, I would go to the lighthouse. I think you were, and for a sandwich with him, which is in my lunch bag, I would get information about ships and what they were doing and the cargoes they were carrying from him, free of cost, right? From him, free of cost, right? When and what were the parts of a ship, and you know the places they traded and things like that. So every person can contribute to your learning process. It starts with the administrators, the teachers, but even among your colleagues, and even the person who's driving the school bus can teach you something. Okay, don't ever think that it won't happen. Right. I will not take up much of your time because I know Dr. Kalol Roy has some presentations. I will not take up much of your time because I know Dr. Kalol Roy has some presentations. I'm sorry, Kalol. I thought that it was going that way. No, I mean, the main thing is this, as I mentioned and I repeated itself, you have one of the best teachers on the planet. You have a great team of staff over here. Have your future definitely inked out for you. You have to contribute to that process. As I mentioned, be curious, always having that quest for knowledge. You dream and realize of the day and ready to take any questions that you may have. Thank you.
You know, back in school, I always thought Subir and Ashley even say this 45 years later that I learned. But before I begin, I can tell you my career, conformist career, I've stuck to certain regimented methods. But I have come to believe one important, that always the next generation is better than the previous. Much better than me. That should be a first level of confidence. Should be doing, or people like me should be doing, is to share our experience to you such that you don't waste time making which we did. But in all, guys are much better. That's how the world progresses. And this is one of the earliest lessons which I learned from Father World, when he told me human society is evolving and it is really developing both in mind and of course in physical ailments. Now, then I said, don't you think this is different from what many of our older people tell us? They always say in our times, all that. He said, no. Of our times, they talk of only one or two which they feel were good. But there are many other. So today, those have gone over. But indeed lucky to have a plethora of knowledge base on your fingertips. So now you can sharpen your skills and brains for doing something beyond that knowledge base. Maybe you don't need to know everything, what we needed to memorize. But after a time which you get, which we wasted in trying to memorize, you can actually do something better than that. Maybe we try to understand a poem in literature. Today, you may understand it to such a level that you may start. So I would say that would be a phenomenal jump in the way you start thinking. So the primary aspect which I would like to focus is, despite my age and number of years at work, I still enjoy being with students. And right now, after retirement, I'm back teaching, participating in lots of interactive ideas with a number of people at whatever levels they. Okay, some of the main points which I thought I should focus. Also, I agree that you don't need to fall in line with the conformist education. And in what way it has changed is, in our generation and the middle generation is helping to break down education to make it simpler for your generation. We are university systems. I was discussing in the car, where a doesn't have to do his